Ladies and gentlemen, I have a guy here. It's a guy I'm honored and privileged to present to you. It's a person I've followed in the community as one of the younger guys coming up. I can say honestly that this guy, everything he has gotten, he has worked for. To a fault, sometimes I find he had to work too much to get what he was entitled to. And that's why I always want to stay and hopefully help him along his journey if I could. I would have to ask him to introduce himself and see how we can bring over the message in terms of his trials and successes. So,
Mario, and I appreciate you taking this time to interview me and talk a little bit about my book coming out and my experiences and my upbringing. Grew up in Scarborough, Ontario, of Guyanese parents. Grew up, around sports. My dad was a footballer, a soccer player, a passionate footballer, passionate soccer player. He started Kendall United, that played in the West Caribbean T&D League. And on that team, my uncles was on that team. We had, my dad put together a very strong West Indian rooted team. And I grew up around those environments. I grew up all around the soccer fields throughout Scarborough, all around the Caribbean environment and culture. And something that definitely resonates with me is that it was more than just a game. It was a community. It was a family. It was pride, a lot of pride. The West Indian community back then was very strong. Everyone stood up for each other. At the end of the game, people would have a laugh, have a drink, have food, open the back of the trucks. And them days, you had the Astro vans and you had the next one, the caravans, and people would, open the back door and slide the side door and there'll be just food. So that was really a special moment in my life, growing up amongst that. Of course, at that time, I was just a little youth man running around the fields, with the other kids causing all, waiting for any halftime to come. And then we run on the field and kick around for 10, 15 minutes and then get chased off the field. All right, get off the field now. Time for big man to play. So who would have thought that, I would have been, to where I am today. But I attribute that to a lot of, my experiences growing up, the IRE tournament,
as they reach the IRE tournament, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that Dwayne, just like people before him, he has his bio, which is called "Is Your Life."
My life, yeah.
Right. And obviously, to get added information, we go, he will be skimming. Dwayne has lived a very interesting life in the field, soccer/football. And at this time, I want to tell you guys, this is a guy who worked for what he got, and he has success in terms of Canada here. There's nothing compared in terms of, again, I would always use the word working for what he got. So support Dwayne, all right? You can't expect to get everything here. However he rolls, that's how he's going to roll, okay? So again, he reached the stage of the IRE tournament. I saw him in the IRE tournament, and Dwayne has always been around the community. So there you go with the IRE tournament.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, and IRE tournament and all these West Indian Caribbean tournaments. I can't remember all of them because it seemed like there was so much back in days. Every weekend there was ball knocking somewhere.
But you played for Everton.
Yes, I did. I did play for them one time. I can't remember how that came around.
So you were there with your dad. I saw you leaving with. I didn't even play. I see the picture after the fact, and then when I was leaving, I saw you leaving with your dad.
That was at Lamport.
Yes, at Lamport. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing when you see me, especially here, when it came to games or any tournaments, my dad's always there. He never missed a game. Man, he never missed very rarely missed a track meet, a basketball game, He was always there. I didn't know what kind of work schedule he had, but one thing, even for my brothers too, the same thing. When they had games, my dad was always there. Plus, my dad was my coach growing up, my mentor.
Yeah, you
Which
used to. I remember when you were training in Ivanwood, him and I used to have this talk. He used to give me the real update with you and how tough it is and how rough it is. So I know your journey.
yeah,
he was a God rest his soul. He was a straight shooter. So
yes,
I knew
yes, he was.
exactly. Yeah, because he was walking you out. So I know he had to be part and parcel of that approval, whether he should play or. Although you were a big man, but I think he knew the settings he wanted you to be in.
Yeah, we had a very clear understanding. I mean, he went through a lot with himself. We're trying to get into the OSA provincial program, and eventually got in there. Tried to get with the national team. Actually went to help coach Guyana because there wasn't really helping him here. And we're talking about a coach that helped develop about 8 or 9 of us that went to the provincial program that mashed up our Malvern Magic team. So it was difficult for him to make it as a West Indian Caribbean. Especially in those times where it's very Scottish English influence. And we experienced all that with him. He'd come back frustrated and angry because he went to a coaches meeting, or he went to a meeting involved around the development or the growth of the sport. And he would always express his feelings. And I'll just sit back and just observe and just listen to him and hear what he has to say. And as I started to grow up in my pathway, I started to see for myself and start to see the struggles and the fight and the difficulties we as West Indian Caribbeans had to try to make it. And like you said, I had to work for everything, and I don't think I would want it any other way, because that fueled my passion, that fueled my hunger. And every time I went in that field, like, I felt like I was representing you, my dad, everybody that grew up in those Flemington Park Irie tournament. I felt like I was representing you guys, because I seen some great ballers that inspired me. At them time, when ball used to knock, it was all about flair and beats in a man and dribble down the whole field if you could, right? So that's how we raised, which that's kind of street ball mentality. But I had to learn how to formulate that into also a more direct approach, and I love scoring goals. So that helped add to my arsenal, that I had the dribble, I play with the flair. And not every coach that I grew up in the provincial program or with the Canadian national team, it resonated with them. And a lot of them were trying very hard to try to make me very, their one-way player. And my dad said, no, you play your game. You always, when you go on that field, you play your game. You play, and that's what I was passionate about. And I always, when I went on the field, I always tried to represent us in that way.
Yeah, and it also make you even more marketable that way. I don't know why they would take that away, because you're more marketable, as we know about players today.
Yeah.
But you were mentioning that, I'm kind of a little surprised that you're part of the Flemo influence. That you actually, I put that as a big question mark in dealing with you and having that topic with you. But now you're telling me you actually live in it.
Oh yeah, man. I agree. those Fresno fields bring back some good memories, especially that parking lot. I've seen some things happen, some good and some things that you just can't erase out of your mind.
Yeah, yeah. So,
But
but for your caliber, what do you think about the level of play? And it's the
like I
same
said,
for, yeah.
growing up and watching it was a lot of jokes, but in terms of skill and talent, there was no denying there was lots of talent that I saw, lots of skill, lots of ability, lots of potential. And without any real outlet, because at them times there, provincial and national team programs all the way out of Hamilton. And who's driving all the way out there to get a chance to play with national team every single weekend on a Saturday, Sunday? I lived it, I did it, so I know how hard that is, especially outside in the cold, right? So it was very difficult on so many levels, but there was no denying that there was lots of talent. There was lots of players that actually played professional, that moved to Canada with West Indian Caribbean heritage, that end up playing in these leagues. So I would just sit down and watch and observe and try to do the things on the side that I was seeing other guys do on the field. You know, my thing was salad. You know, when a man gets salad and man running up and down the field, and you know, the energy was just amazing. And you know this, man. Like, you
Yeah.
know, music is playing, people are running up and down the line laughing, and you know, it was.
You giving me a bonus because I didn't really expect this, to be honest with you. I didn't know you had a phlegm. Honestly, I really didn't know you had a phlegm root.
Yeah, man. And in fact, I have even deeper roots because I used to play ball at Flemo Community Center. You know, they used to have drop-in nights at Flemo Community Center. I used to play basketball there because I was a big basketball player as well. So I used to go there quite a bit, and then you know we used to hang out in Flemo, you know, for quite some time, you know, and I know I have a lot of friends from Flemington Park, you know.
So
He used to go to some dances in Flemo too.
well, bro, you just got knighted. You just got knighted because I was the only thing missing from you. I had it missing from you, so you good to go.
Yeah, big up Soul Survival and all those songs coming out of Flemo.
So let's deal in the little broader picture now. Understand you have I know I was there when you launched the DRO Foundation, right? You know, how is that going? And you know, as I said, you just you know what you have coming out in May, and you know you can just touch on it however you want to, right?
Okay. Well, regarding the foundation, I'll just speak on that first. The foundation is at a standstill right now, obviously with COVID and the lockdowns, which for me is devastating for some of these kids because a lot of these kids utilize these after school programs to release any frustrations, angers, to just get away from the street life, get away from temptation. I grew up in metro housing, government housing. I grew up in a single family home, so I know what it's like to have that idle time after school until your parents don't get home till 7:30. You know, after school back then we used to finish at 3:30. From that time till then, there's a lot of trouble you can get into, right? There's a lot of things that look good to the eye, you know what I mean, that shine real bright, that looks very appealing. And it's hard for kids to not turn away from that because, of course, now you're dealing with peer pressure, you're dealing with all the other things that come involved with that. So my whole purpose of my after school program is to provide a safe space where kids could, you know, stay away from those environments and give them a better option to do after school. And also, like I said, to use sport to release some of the frustrations that we deal with as kids growing up in these environments. You know, it's 5 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know, you get frustrated, you're angry, you have to sit in school all day and sit still, and you know, you can't really talk. You know, you can't really express yourself to anyone. You know, so sport allows these kids to express themselves both verbally and physically, and let them get a lot of that frustration out. And then after the session is done, sometimes they're tired and they'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna leave that, you know, let that go for another day or whatever the case is. And we also break down a lot of barriers. You know, a lot of kids are lacking confidence, self-confidence, lacking support, obesity, self-abuse, physical abuse, home maybe. And you know, sport's a great outlet for a lot of these kids. And you know, I'm just blessed to be in a position to give back to my community and support my community. And that's the whole purpose of the DRO Foundation.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, when you can come from an area where the kids can relate to, you know, we assess the classroom and stuff, that's sellable to the youth, and you're definitely gonna have success. And that's why I wanted for kids and stuff to hear you, because they can relate to that. It's not a guy who always had that's coming, because they can read that too. You know, people can say the right things and the vibe's not there. You kind of authentic when it comes to that. Now, a little birdie told me also now you might be moving to the east. I don't know if that revelation and that and how that's coming, but
Me moving to the east.
well, in terms of you do have a academy, right?
Yes.
And you're gonna be relocating, like you got a place that you can call your own.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah, we're in the process of building a facility, a soccer specific dome in the east, in in Pickering, so not too far from Scarborough. Ideally, we would have liked to build something in Scarborough, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of land to do such. So, but we're fortunate to build it where it's not too far, and the kids still have access to that. And it's a multifaceted sports facility that focuses not only soccer but baseball. My business partner Nigel Wilson, it's really his facility, and he's now a part of the DRO United Football Academy family. And we're also going to have basketball there as well, gym, nutrition. So it's going to be the whole, spectrum regarding sports. So we're not just developing the kid on the field, we're also developing the athlete off the field in terms of nutrition, in terms of, physical conditioning, health and fitness and wellness. So hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, of course, with COVID, it makes it a little difficult for materials and stuff like that. But we're projecting November of this year, 2021, for it to be finished. And it would be the home of DRO United Football Academy. And on another note, we're finalizing our partnership and our contract with Toronto FC. So it would be DRO TFC, which again will open up more doors and opportunities for kids in our community to have an opportunity to play with a professional club. And anyone that knows the DRO United Football Academy, if TFC comes knocking on our door, we say take them and we go. We have an open door policy when it comes to those opportunities. My father was an advocate of developing talent and letting them go to a better opportunity where they can take their game to the next level. And my vision is exactly the same. If these kids could use TFC to take their game to the next level, and I could see them play on the professional TFC first team, or I could see them representing Canada down the line, then for us that's a successful story.
You just sort of give half of my question, the next question, because I was going to ask if they're TFC, but I'll go in the wider, broader MLSC. I want to say this, that you and I, we lived, me being a media at Toronto FC, seeing all your season. I want to say, although we were going through a little agony towards the latter part of your career, I love the way the MLSC treated you, upper management. And one thing you and I know is we can stand our grind, we know what's going on, but it's important that timing is everything, and you're weak and something else can happen, and you did that, and now it fall in your lap, because we used to be in the little background and try to figure out what was going on with you. So I like how that worked out for you. You're an ambassador. You want to talk to that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think you said it. It was a difficult time in my life to step away from the game that I grew up and loved and play with everything I had. But thank you to first Tim Laiwiki at the time, who was overseeing MLSC, all the teams. He pretty much gave me an opportunity to be a part of the development and the growth as an ambassador of Toronto FC and the sport in Toronto and across Canada, as providing me with that ambassador role. And he said, if you want to play, I get it. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I think here's an opportunity that, I think you would do very well at. And it's there for you if you want it. And of course, as you know, from my humble experience working with Tim Laiwiki, everything he touches pretty much turns to gold. You see what he did in LA with the Lakers, the Kings, LA Galaxy, and then we've seen obviously what he's been able to manifest here with Raptors winning a championship, the NBA All-Star, Toronto FC winning a championship, going far in the cup, and then of course, his work in trying to help rebuild the Leafs. So, a man that has that experience, that kind of knowledge, when he tells you to do something, you kind of have to pay close attention and put aside your ego or your personal feelings and say, you know what, maybe this man might know what he's talking about. And I'm glad I decided to take that opportunity, because the next year he left the organization. So I'm very grateful for him in positioning me in that way, and I'm very grateful to the TFC organization, Larry Tannenbaum, who we have a great working relationship with. I have a lot of respect for, allowing me to have this position and this role, and it's one that I take with a lot of pride. And the focus is to continue to, like I said, grow the sport and grow the TFC brand across Ontario and Canada.
And the last, the big one, I know you're gonna have to dip and bob and weave this one, but looking at your career, and I followed it very closely, as I say, being close to your dad. How would you, looking at it from how you talk about the classroom, it looked like you had first-hand experience and all these things. Looking at it now, how would you evaluate it in a nutshell in terms of, you go, you make all these stuff, the DC, everything else doing. How we can't forecast the future, so you were going through all these challenges, things were opening up. How you look at that in a nutshell, just wrapping it up.
Wow. Learning, experience, growth, blessings, and just my personal experience, and I encompass all those things, and I go a little bit more in details in the book My Life, and I indulge a little deeper on all those experiences and how I use those to fuel my passion on the field. And I didn't get caught up off the field or was angry, and as we see some athletes maybe do act out in a certain way off the field that is truly not consistent to their demeanor. But sometimes, pressure and all these things could, make you do some things that you wish you hadn't done. And thankfully I was able to channel that energy on the field and try to do the best that I can to make my community proud.
So, and that is detailed in your book, My Life.
Yes.
When is the book coming out? And
the book comes out May 11th. You can actually pre-order now on any Indigo bookstores. You could pre-order it, or you could go on my website, DwayneDeRosario.com, and pre-order it. Again, like I said, it's been 3.5, 4 years of writing this book. So it's been a very long time, and anyone that writes books, I have a huge, a lot more respect for what it takes to write a book, especially a biography, because I have to backtrack. I'm putting pieces of my life together, and it was also therapeutic for me to touch on topics that as you know, I was always being a very private person. I've always kept my family and my kids out the limelight, and my so to kind of go a little bit deeper into that in this book, really, open a lot of things up that I opened myself up, that I was finding that, there's no need to hold these things in, because there's probably another DRO out there that would love to hear this story and figure out how I use that to get out of a situation, or how I use that to fuel my passion on the field. And that's the whole purpose of this book, is to first tell my story as a West Indian Caribbean Canadian, and our journey, because I think it's something very proud that we should all be proud of. We helped build this city, we helped build this country, and we have a lot to do with a lot of the things that are happening in the city and where it is today. So we should be proud of that, and I just try to highlight that in the book, in my journey and my experience, and hopefully it can motivate the future.
well, for me, I'm proud of you. I would hold on to some of the pride, knowing that your dad worked with me, refereeing for me and stuff, and maintaining certain thing. And as I say, I'm always in your corner, Dwayne. Just because I know you have to work a little harder for what you want. That's what I saw. And you always seem to be coming out on top. So I know you're working, I know the challenges, and I know we've been there, and I'm gonna live it with you, and I wish you all success. And anything I can do, from a community point of view and stuff, just let me know, and we'll see if we can bring it home.
Thank you. And I remember that article right behind your left shoulder there, the Caribbean Stars article that you did. So respect on what you do as well, and in terms of highlighting this sport and recognizing the youth and the future. you know, because we have some exciting kids coming up through the ranks right now. And, you know, I think it's a special time, especially with 2026 World Cup on the horizon. Being an ambassador for the 2026 World Cup, I'm really excited to see how we use that momentum to help grow this sport and create more opportunities for our kids and people like yourself that dedicated so much time to help grow this game. So thank you.
All right. So you take care and thanks for the time.
All right, brother.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one. Take care.
You too.